Anyway, okay. You know what?
Yeah,
Right now, Chuck, I'm going to get off my soapbox because I want to talk to you about spy planes.
you're right.
What do you make
Sure.
of the recent activity along and near the Mexican border in terms of U.S. Surveillance, aerial surveillance?
Yeah, those were shut down under the Biden administration. They used to use the old spy blimps along the southwest border. And one of the first steps he took is he was standing down all these executive orders from the previous Trump administration. Those were one of the programs that he shut down. I think it's a valuable resource. I think we're able, again, if we're collaboratively working with Mexico, which, I'm keeping my fingers crossed is exactly what's happening. That's providing a wealth of information to both Mexican officials as well as to U.S. intelligence and law enforcement agencies. I'm all for it. I like this stepped up approach. This is where the military support is phenomenal. It's allowed to assist and free up CBP resources to focus on, securing that border and putting handcuffs on people and turning away those that need to be turned away. So I like this whole government approach. I'm a big fan of it. And I think it's being done right now, and they're not going to leave any resource on the table. So good for the Trump administration.
Yeah, and you would think that again, it will have to wait and see. But you would think that the Mexican government, under Claudia Sheinbaum, would look and go, okay, if we did have a robust liaison relationship with the U.S. against the cartels on the issue of narcotics trafficking and people smuggling, et cetera, that, everybody wins. But history tells us that typically what Mexican administrations tend to do is manage the problem, right? They're managing the cartels to a reasonable level. I think we saw with the Vicente Fox administration that they actually tried a fairly robust effort to take on the cartels. That led to a massive increase in violence in Mexico. And I think the population eventually got fed up and said enough. So I don't know that we're going to see anything different, but you have to make the effort because, as you pointed out, look, I mean, the number of fentanyl deaths in the U.S. as a result of cartel operations, setting aside Chinese regime, the Communist Party's involvement in fentanyl trafficking,
right,
is astounding. And so we have to do something. So I'm fully on board with you. I agree with you. This couldn't have happened soon enough. I like the foreign terrorist designation, the aggressive action, the inclusion of the U.S. military. It's about time that we have an aggressive approach towards the cartels that have done so much damage in this country.
Yeah. No, look, you're right. I mean, I try and break it down even plainer than that. And I say, look, if the cartels are willing to work with China to kill hundreds of thousands of Americans with fentanyl, what makes us so naive as to not think that they're working with terrorist organizations or other adversaries to infiltrate the United States? Again, it comes down to making a buck. And so they're going to work with whoever they need to work with. So, I like the aggressive approach. I think if Mexico gets on board, we can make a big difference against the cartels down there in Mexico, because they've expanded so much that they have just as much power with respect to all the trafficking across our northern border as well. While we don't see the numbers that we saw at the southwest border, we saw the same diversity of threats. Just at a slightly lower percentage. So it wasn't that the threat was as large as down at the southwest border, but we were still facing the same range of threats.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot easier to secure that northern border as soon as Canada's the 51st state. So we're all looking forward to that as well.
There we go.
As I'm sure,
and we get two hockey teams.
And we get. Oh. Yeah. You know what? I still don't know that the Canadians are fully on board with that concept yet. Hey, thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and leave a comment, a really positive, nice, and kind comment. That would be appreciated. And if you're not already subscribed to our channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our daily updates.